Let me blow your mind with a simple fact. The average Neanderthal could bench press twice what a modern NFL linebacker can handle. We're talking about humans who lived 40,000 years ago, yet they were built like biological tanks. When archaeologists first discovered Neanderthal bones, they thought they were looking at a different species entirely, not because of intelligence, but because of sheer physical dominance. Picture the strongest person you know. Now imagine someone 30% more muscular, with bones so dense they could stop a bullet. That's what we're dealing with here. Early human skeletons show bone thickness that's literally off the charts compared to modern humans. Their arm bones were so robust that scientists initially thought they belonged to bears, not people. But here's where it gets really insane. These weren't just gymbaled muscles, this was functional, predatory strength. Every single day was leg day, arm day, and survival day rolled into one. While you're worried about your daily step count, these humans were chasing down horses and wrestling cave bears for breakfast. The fossil evidence is undeniable. Early human remains show muscle attachment points that are 3 times larger than ours, those little ridges and bumps where muscles connect to bones. They're massive on ancient skeletons because the muscles themselves were absolutely enormous. We're talking about humans who could literally crush your skull with their bare hands, and that's not hyperbole. That's biology. Asterisk. Now let's talk about what this strength actually meant in the real world. Early humans didn't just look scary, they were functionally terrifying. Their grip strength alone was estimated to be around 200 pounds per square inch. For reference, that's enough to crush every bone in your hand without even trying. Imagine shaking hands with someone who could accidentally pulverize your fingers. Their cardiovascular systems were equally impressive. These humans could run marathon distances while carrying heavy weapons and dead animals, not jog, run, for hours without stopping. Modern endurance athletes trained their entire lives to achieve what early humans did casually every single day. Skeletal evidence shows something even more remarkable. These humans had virtually no joint problems, no arthritis, no chronic pain, no need for physical therapy. Their bodies were so perfectly adapted to constant physical stress that what would cripple us only made them stronger. Every hunt, every migration, every survival challenge was essentially a full-body workout that would put CrossFit to shame. But perhaps the most terrifying aspect was their pain tolerance. Bone analysis reveals that early humans regularly survived injuries that would kill modern humans instantly. Broken ribs, fractured skulls, torn muscles, they just kept going. We have fossil evidence of Neanderthals who survived multiple life-threatening injuries and lived for decades afterward. These weren't just tough humans, they were biological weapons wrapped in human skin. The really disturbing part: this wasn't genetic luck, it was brutal natural selection in action. Every weak early human died. Every slow early human became dinner. Every early human who couldn't handle extreme physical stress was eliminated from the gene pool before they could reproduce. What survived was the absolute cream of the crop, the most physically capable humans who ever lived. Modern humans are essentially the soft, domesticated version of these biological nightmares. We've traded raw physical power for brain power, strength for technology, and predatory instincts for social cooperation. In many ways, we're the house cats of the human species, cute, comfortable, but utterly helpless compared to our wild ancestors. The archaeological record shows early humans regularly lifting stones weighing several hundred pounds, throwing spears with deadly accuracy at distances of over 100 feet, and engaging in hand-to-hand combat with megafauna that would send modern humans running and screaming. They weren't just surviving in nature, they were dominating it. About this, early humans were so physically capable that they hunted woolly mammoths, not with guns, not with elaborate traps, but with wooden spears and coordinated attacks. They were literally punching above their weight class and winning every single time, but strength was just the beginning. These walking killing machines had something even more dangerous than raw power. They had the intelligence to use it effectively. Their combination of physical dominance and tactical thinking made them the most successful predators in human history. Every modern human alive today exists because our ancestors were basically the terminators of the ancient world, and we're just getting started exploring what made them so terrifyingly effective. Forget everything you think you know about primitive weapons. Early humans weren't throwing sticks and hoping for the best. They were engineering death with surgical precision. The spear-throwing accuracy of early humans was so legendary that modern Olympic athletes can't even come close to matching their performance. We're talking about humans who could consistently hit moving targets at 150 feet while running at full speed. Archaeological evidence from sites across Europe reveals something absolutely mind-blowing. Early humans were manufacturing specialized weapons for specific prey. They had lightweight spears for fast animals, heavy-duty spears for massive creatures, and even composite weapons that could be assembled on the fly. This wasn't random tool-making, this was strategic weapon development that would make modern military engineers jealous. That the wooden spears discovered in Germany are over 400,000 years old and show engineering sophistication that's frankly terrifying. These weren't just sharpened sticks, they were perfectly balanced, aerodynamically designed killing instruments. The tip placement, weight distribution, and grip design were all calculated to maximize lethality. Early humans were essentially running around with handcrafted missiles. But here's where it gets really disturbing. They could mass-produce these weapons. Sites like Scheveningen show evidence of weapon manufacturing on an industrial scale. Early humans weren't just making one spear for themselves, they were creating entire arsenals, stockpiling weapons like they were preparing for war. Because in their world, every day was war. The stone tool technology is equally impressive and terrifying. Early humans could nap flint into razor-sharp edges that were actually sharper than modern surgical scalpels. They were creating cutting tools that could slice through thick animal hide, muscle, and bone with surgical precision. These weren't crude stone implements, they were precision instruments of death. Now let's talk about how they actually used these weapons in real combat situations. Early humans developed hunting strategies that were basically military operations. They used coordinated attacks, flanking maneuvers, and psychological warfare against their prey. This wasn't random violence, this was calculated. Tactical killing. The evidence from ancient hunting sites reveals something absolutely chilling. Early humans were persistence hunters. They would track an animal for days, following it relentlessly, until it collapsed from exhaustion. Then they would move in for the kill. Imagine being hunted by something that never stops, never gives up, and never gets tired. That's what early humans did to every animal they encountered. The spear-throwing technique was developed through constant practice and refinement. Modern recreations show that early humans could generate spear velocities of over 60 miles per hour, fast enough to penetrate thick mammoth hide and reach vital organs. They weren't just throwing spears, they were launching biological missiles with deadly accuracy. But the most terrifying aspect was their ability to hunt in coordinated groups. Archaeological evidence shows that early humans would surround large prey animals, cutting off all escape routes before moving in for synchronized attacks. They would position themselves strategically, communicate silently, and execute coordinated strikes that would overwhelm even the largest predators. The bone evidence from kill sites shows something even more disturbing. Early humans were incredibly efficient killers. They knew exactly where to strike to cause maximum damage with minimum effort. They understood animal anatomy better than modern veterinarians, and they used that knowledge to kill quickly and efficiently. Ancient hunting sites reveal that early humans regularly took down animals that were 10 times their size, not through luck or accident, but through superior strategy, better weapons, and coordinated teamwork. They were essentially running special operations missions against Megafauna, and winning every single time. The psychological warfare aspect is what really sets early humans apart from any other predator. They didn't just hunt animals, they terrorized entire ecosystems. Evidence suggests that early humans would use fire as a weapon, creating controlled burns to drive prey into ambush positions. They were literally reshaping landscapes to create killing fields. Their tool innovation never stopped evolving. As prey animals adapted to their hunting strategies, early humans developed new weapons and techniques. They created composite tools, throwing devices that increased range and accuracy, and even early forms of chemical warfare using poisoned projectiles. This was an arms race between humans and nature, and humans were winning. The most chilling evidence comes from sites where early humans hunted other early humans. Yes, they turned their deadly arsenal against their own species. The weapons designed for mammoth hunting were equally effective against human targets. Skull fractures, cut marks on bones, and evidence of systematic dismemberment show that early humans were perfectly willing to use their killing expertise against each other. But perhaps the most terrifying aspect of their arsenal was their adaptability. Early humans could create deadly weapons from virtually anything in their environment. Bones became spear points, stones became cutting tools, and even plant materials became toxic projectiles. They were living Swiss Army knives, capable of turning any natural resource into an instrument of death. The archaeological record shows that wherever early humans went, large animals went extinct. This wasn't coincidence, it was systematic elimination. Early humans were so effective at killing that they literally hunted entire species into extinction. The woolly mammoth, giant cave bear, and countless other megafauna species disappeared not because of climate change, but because early humans were too good at what they did. These weren't just hunters, they were biological weapons of mass extinction. Their combination of advanced weaponry, tactical intelligence, and relentless determination made them the most successful predators in Earth's history. And they were just getting started. Here's what separates early humans from every other predator that ever lived. They could think like their prey while staying one step ahead. Modern hunters with GPS, thermal imaging, and high-tech gear still can't match the tracking abilities of a barefoot human from 50,000 years ago. These early humans could read the environment like a book, predicting animal behavior with supernatural accuracy. The cognitive abilities we're talking about here are absolutely mind-blowing. Early humans could track animals across vast distances, using nothing but subtle environmental clues. A bent blade of grass, a barely visible footprint, the direction of disturbed insects. They could piece together an animal's entire journey from microscopic evidence. Modern forensic investigators with advanced technology can't match this level of environmental analysis. But here's where it gets really terrifying. Early humans weren't just tracking animals, they were predicting their behavior. They understood migration patterns, feeding schedules, and even seasonal mood changes of their prey. They could predict where an animal would be days or even weeks in advance, setting up ambush points with surgical precision. The mental mapping abilities of early humans were legendary. They could navigate across hundreds of miles of wilderness without any tools, remembering exact locations of water sources, shelter sites, and hunting grounds. Their spatial memory was so advanced that they could create mental maps of entire continents. We're talking about humans who could GPS their way across Ice Age Europe using nothing but their brains. Archaeological evidence shows that early humans were constantly gathering and processing information about their environment. They knew which plants were edible, which animals were dangerous, and which weather patterns indicated seasonal changes. This wasn't just survival knowledge, this was comprehensive environmental intelligence that would make modern survival experts weep with envy. The really disturbing part, they were teaching this knowledge to their children from birth. Early human children were being trained as biological reconnaissance units, learning to read environments and predict threats before they could even walk properly. This wasn't education, this was military-grade intelligence training. Now let's talk about their tactical thinking in hunting situations. Early humans didn't just chase prey randomly, they were running complex military operations that would impress modern special forces. They could analyze terrain, predict escape routes, and coordinate multi-person attacks with split-second timing. This was warfare disguised as hunting. The evidence from ancient kill sites reveals something absolutely chilling. Early humans were using psychological warfare against their prey. They would deliberately create noise and disturbance to panic animals, driving them into predetermined kill zones. They understood animal psychology better than modern animal behaviorists, and they weaponized that knowledge ruthlessly. Their communication during hunts was extraordinarily sophisticated. Early humans developed silent hand signals, subtle body language cues, and even primitive tactical formations that allowed them to coordinate attacks without alerting their prey. They were essentially running covert operations against unsuspecting animals, but perhaps the most terrifying aspect was their ability to adapt their strategies in real time. If an animal changed direction, early humans would instantly recalculate their approach. If weather conditions shifted, they would modify their tactics on the fly. This wasn't just flexibility, this was tactical genius under pressure. The bone evidence shows that early humans were conducting detailed post-hunt analysis. They would examine their kills, studying what worked and what didn't, constantly refining their techniques. They were literally conducting after-action reviews to improve their killing efficiency. This was continuous improvement applied to predatory behavior. Ancient hunting sites reveal that early humans were using advanced psychological manipulation techniques. They would study individual animal personalities, identifying the nervous ones, the aggressive ones, and the leaders. Then they would exploit these psychological profiles to manipulate entire herds. They were essentially running psychological operations against wildlife. The most disturbing discovery. Evidence suggests that early humans were conducting reconnaissance missions, spending days or weeks studying their prey before making a move. They would observe feeding patterns, social hierarchies, and defensive behaviors, gathering intelligence like military scouts. When they finally attacked, they knew everything about their target. The environmental reading abilities of early humans were so advanced they bordered on the supernatural. They could predict weather changes days in advance by reading subtle environmental cues. They knew which direction water sources lay by observing plant growth patterns and animal behavior. They could find shelter in any environment by reading geological formations and wind patterns. But here's what's really terrifying. Early humans were using this intelligence to manipulate entire ecosystems. They would deliberately alter environments to create better hunting conditions, using controlled burns, water diversions, and vegetation management to reshape landscapes. They weren't just adapting to nature, they were engineering it. The cognitive load they were managing is absolutely staggering. Early humans were simultaneously tracking multiple prey species, monitoring weather patterns, remembering seasonal cycles, managing group dynamics, and planning long-term survival strategies. They were essentially running multiple complex programs in their heads simultaneously, without any external memory aids. Archaeological evidence shows that early humans were teaching advanced survival intelligence to their children through sophisticated educational programs. Young humans were being trained in environmental analysis, threat assessment, and tactical thinking from toddlerhood. This wasn't child's play, this was military academy training. The most chilling aspect, early humans were using their intelligence to eliminate competition. They didn't just hunt prey animals, they systematically eliminated other predators from their territories. Bears, wolves, and saber-toothed cats all learned to avoid areas where early humans operated. They were so effective at tactical thinking that they forced other apex predators into extinction. But perhaps the most terrifying discovery is that early humans were applying this same tactical intelligence to conflicts with other human groups. The evidence shows coordinated attacks, strategic ambushes, and even early forms of siege warfare. They were turning their environmental intelligence into weapons of war against their own species. These weren't just smart hunters, they were cognitive weapons systems wrapped in human skin. Their combination of environmental intelligence, tactical thinking, and psychological manipulation made them the most dangerous predators in Earth's history, and they were about to face their ultimate test. Let me paint you a picture of ultimate survival. Early humans lived through ice ages that would kill every modern human in hours. We're talking about temperatures that regularly dropped to -40 degrees Fahrenheit, with no central heating, no insulated clothing, and no grocery stores. Yet these biological killing machines didn't just survive, they thrived in conditions that would make Antarctica look like a tropical vacation. The immune system of early humans was absolutely legendary. They were walking biological fortresses, immune to diseases that would wipe out entire modern cities. Plague, smallpox, tuberculosis. These weren't just minor inconveniences to early humans, they were completely ineffective. Their immune systems had been battle-tested by thousands of years of exposure to every pathogen imaginable. But here's where it gets really insane. Early humans could survive injuries that would kill modern humans instantly. Broken bones healed without medical intervention, deep wounds closed without antibiotics, and internal injuries that would require surgery somehow repaired themselves. We have fossil evidence of early humans who survived multiple skull fractures, massive bone breaks, and tissue damage that would be fatal today. The caloric efficiency of early humans was mind-blowing. They could survive on food sources that would poison modern humans, extract nutrition from materials we can't even digest, and go weeks without eating while maintaining full physical capability. Their digestive systems were so advanced they could literally eat things that would kill us. Archaeological evidence shows that early humans regularly survived natural disasters that would devastate modern civilization. Volcanic eruptions, massive floods, earthquake sequences. These weren't extinction events for early humans, they were just Tuesday. They had developed survival strategies that could handle literally anything nature threw at them. The psychological resilience is equally terrifying. Early humans could watch their children die from predator attacks, lose their entire family to disease, and still maintain the mental toughness to continue fighting for survival. They had developed emotional armor that made them virtually unbreakable under the most extreme stress conditions. But perhaps the most disturbing aspect was their ability to adapt to new environments instantly. Early humans could migrate from tropical Africa to frozen Europe and completely restructure their survival strategies within a single generation. They were biological chameleons, capable of thriving anywhere on Earth. The selection pressures that forged these ultimate survivors were absolutely brutal. Every single day was a life or death test, and failure meant immediate elimination from the gene pool. Only the strongest, smartest, and most adaptable humans survived long enough to reproduce. This wasn't just natural selection, this was biological warfare on a species level. Early humans faced predators that would give modern humans nightmares: saber-toothed cats, giant cave bears, pack-hunting hyenas, and predatory birds with wingspans larger than small aircraft. Yet early humans not only survived these threats, they eliminated them. They were so effective at survival that they drove their own predators into extinction. The environmental challenges were equally extreme. Early humans survived through multiple ice ages, volcanic winters, and climate changes that would collapse modern civilization. They developed technologies and survival strategies that could handle temperature swings of over 100 degrees, food shortages lasting months, and natural disasters that would make modern emergency management look like child's play. But here's the truly terrifying part. Early humans were getting stronger with each generation. Every environmental challenge, every predator encounter, every survival crisis was making them more capable. They were literally evolving in real time, becoming more efficient killers and more resilient survivors with each passing century. The social cooperation aspect is what really sets them apart. Early humans could coordinate survival efforts across entire tribal networks, sharing resources, knowledge, and defensive strategies. They weren't just individual survivors, they were collective survival machines that could handle threats no single human could face alone. Archaeological evidence shows that early humans were conducting deliberate survival training exercises. They would practice hunting techniques, test new weapons, and run survival scenarios to prepare for different threats. This wasn't just learning, this was military-style preparation for constant warfare against nature. The most chilling discovery: early humans were so confident in their survival abilities that they were actively seeking out dangerous environments. They weren't just surviving harsh conditions, they were deliberately moving into the most challenging territories on Earth, using adversity as a tool to become even more capable. The genetic legacy of these ultimate survivors is still with us today, but it's been dramatically diluted by thousands of years of easier living. Modern humans carry the DNA of these biological weapons, but we've lost most of the capabilities that made our ancestors so terrifyingly effective. We're essentially driving a Ferrari with a lawnmower engine. The most disturbing realization is that early humans were so successful at survival that they created their own biggest threat: other early humans. As they eliminated natural predators and mastered environmental challenges, the only thing left that could challenge them was their own species. They became so effective at survival that they had to compete against themselves. Evidence from archaeological sites shows that early humans were not just surviving, they were dominating their environments so completely that they were reshaping entire ecosystems. They were ecological engineers, changing landscapes to suit their needs and eliminating any species that competed with them for resources. The really terrifying aspect is that these survival capabilities didn't disappear gradually. They were actively bred out of our species as we developed agriculture and civilization. We deliberately selected for traits that made us better at cooperation and less effective at individual survival. We essentially domesticated ourselves. But here's what should keep you awake at night. Under the right pressure, these capabilities could return. The genetic programming is still there, waiting to be activated by the right environmental challenges. Early humans weren't a different species, they were what modern humans become when survival becomes the only priority. The archaeological record shows that early humans were not just the most successful survivors in human history, they were the most successful survivors in Earth's history. No other species has ever dominated their environment so completely while maintaining such individual lethality. They were biological perfection wrapped in human skin. Modern humans exist because our ancestors were walking killing machines who could survive anything. We're the descendants of the most terrifying predators who ever lived. And that legacy is still written in our DNA. So there you have it. The uncomfortable truth about what early humans really were. They weren't primitive cave stumbling around in the dark. They were biological weapons systems, perfectly engineered for survival and lethality. Every modern human alive today exists because our ancestors were literally the most dangerous predators in Earth's history. The next time you struggle to open a pickle jar or get winded climbing a flight of stairs, remember that you're carrying the DNA of humans who could hunt woolly mammoths with wooden spears and survive ice ages in We've traded raw power for comfort, but that ancient programming is still there, waiting. What do you think would happen if modern humans faced the same survival pressures that forged our ancestors? Could we rediscover those capabilities, or have we become too soft to survive without our technology? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. And if this glimpse into our terrifying past has left you wanting to know more about what made early humans so incredibly dangerous, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell, because trust me, we're just scratching the surface of how absolutely brutal our ancestors really were. There's so much more to uncover, and some of it is going to change everything you thought you knew about human evolution.